Hello chaps, as promised I put together this little video to try and dispel some of the myths and take away some of the fear associated with playing jazz chords. Now then, one thing that some people have said to me is, oh, I can't even play a bar chord, so how can I play all these jazzy things? Well, fear not. I don't know of any situation where you need to play anything like that in a jazz tune. Most jazz chords are just quite small affairs, just sort of small little tiny chord fragments that will sit in an overall arrangement, including a bass line and so on, and give a much fuller sound as a result. It's kind of a little bit of sleight of hand, if you see what I mean. So let's have a look at the 6 shapes that I use all of the time for playing all of the jazz stuff that, well, certainly all the stuff I've posted on the site. I use 2 major, 2 minor and 2 diminished shapes. So let's have a look at the major shapes first of all. There's this one, which is just my first finger barring across the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings. And I know I said there were no bar chords, but come on, this isn't a full bar chord, is it? It's just 3 strings. You know, you don't have to be able to do something like that. It's just that. You know. Then, if we look at the minor version of that, all it is it's essentially the same shape as a little A minor shape down there. Again, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. It's just that shape there. As I said, a little A minor shape. Refer to the PDF, and you'll see all of these shapes written down. Then another major shape is just this kind of diagonal line thing here, this, and this. And then we look at the minor version of that, which is those 2 strings, 2nd and 3rd strings held down with the 1st finger and 3rd finger over there on the 4th string. And then that takes us nicely into one of the diminished shapes, because all I have to do is add my little finger there, same fret as my 3rd finger, okay, but on the 2nd string. Again, refer to the PDF and you'll see the shape written out, and that gives me one of my 2 diminished shapes, like that. And the other diminished shape is quite familiar actually. Imagine this D shape down here. We'll just move it up a string like that, and again we'll show all these examples at the 5th fret. That is a diminished shape, and if you refer to the PDF, which is available just by clicking on the link underneath this video, you will see where the root note is for each of those chords, but I'll go through it anyway here. This is a major chord where this note in the middle, this one on the 3rd string, is the root. So at the 5th fret, that's a C note, which makes that a C major chord. If I do this, I'll go there like that. Again, this is the root for this minor one. That's a C note again, so that's a C minor chord. This here, this minor shape here, this note is the root, so that is a A minor chord. If I make that into a major by adding that finger in there for that major shape, and again this is still a root note on the 4th string, which makes that an A major chord. The 2 diminished shapes, let's have a look at this one. My root note here is on the 2nd string, and that's an F sharp, so this is an F sharp diminished. And if I go to this shape here, the root note for this one is on the 3rd string, and that's a C sharp, so that is a C sharp diminished. And just by using those 6 simple little chord shapes, here they are again: major, major, minor, minor, diminished, diminished again. Simply by using those 6 shapes, you can play pretty much any jazz chord sequence you like, really. It's all about learning how to use those as substitutions for other chords. So obviously we need to take a little bit of a look at chord substitution. Now, before you understand chord substitution, you first of all need to understand chord construction. So let's start right from the ground up. Let's have a look at the basis of all music, the chromatic scale. This is what we get if we go up one string in 1 fret intervals, or down, I suppose. That is a chromatic scale, and we use this all of the time when we transpose a song from one key into another. For instance, there's a G note, that open string, there's an A note there, 2nd fret, so we know that A is 2 frets above G. G note goes 2 frets to become A, so we know that if you have a song in G and you move it up 2 frets, simply by putting a capo on at the 2nd fret, for example, then you've turned the song from something in the key of G to something in the key of A, and so on. Now, if you don't know the notes as you go up chromatically, then I would advise you to learn them. I'll briefly run through them here. We've got a G sharp or A flat, A sharp or B flat, B, C, C sharp or D flat, D, D sharp or E flat, E, F, F sharp or G flat, before coming back to a G again at the 12th fret, which, as I'm sure you know, that's why the 12th fret is marked with 2 dots, because it's the same note as the open string. Anyway, it is possible, I suppose, to make a piece of music out of all of those 12 notes. There was a school of classical music called Serialism that did precisely that. The whole idea behind that was that you use all 12 notes in a piece of music, but you can only use each note once, which is an interesting idea. But the music that it makes is, I don't know, it's not my cup of tea. Anyway, usually what we do is filter out some of those notes by applying a pattern of steps, and by far and away the most commonplace pattern of steps that we use, the one that's sort of the benchmark for everything really, is the major scale. And the major scale is what you get if you go up a tone, which is 2 frets, then another tone, then a semitone, then tone, 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 and semitone. Excuse me. So, and you get the very recognisable do, re, mi kind of scale that underpins most of Western music. And what we can then do is combine those notes together into making some chords. Let's have a look. This is a G major scale because it's a major scale starting on a G note. And those notes are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp and G. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to write those down. I'll go through them again. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp and G. Or if you don't want to write them down, again, just download the PDF. Let's take that G major scale and compare it to a G major chord. Just instinctively, it's apparent that a G major scale must have something to do with a G major chord. So if we compare the two, we can kind of see what the relationship is. So there's a G major chord. Let's have a look at the notes that are in it. Well, we've got a G note, a B note, an open D string, an open G string, an open B string, and a G note on the top E string. So that's G, B, D, G, B and G. There are effectively only 3 notes in a G major chord. We have a G note, a B note and a D note, which if we compare that to the G major scale of G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp and G, you can see that the G note in the chord is the first note of the scale, the B note in the chord is the 3rd note in the scale, and the D note is the 5th note in the scale. So that's how chords are made. They're made up from the 1st, 3rd and 5th notes of a scale. And if we start the scale on the A note and do exactly the same thing, this time counting the A note as 1, and we go up to the third note. There's the A, B, C is the third note up from A, D, E is the fifth note up from A. So the notes in whatever chord we get sprouting from that A note is going to contain the notes of A, C and E. Now let's just take a look here at the relationships between the notes. There's the relationship in a G chord. It's a G note, a B note and a D note. Hopefully you can see that there is a 4 semitone interval there. The open string, then the note at the 4th fret, then the note at the 7th fret. So that's kind of that. And you can see that again between this note here, the open string, and this note here at the 4th fret, there is a 4 fret gap, and between this note at the 4th fret and this note at the 7th fret, there is a 3 fret gap, or interval we should say. That is the defining characteristic of a major chord, a 4-step interval and a 3-step interval. What we have here though, when we start on the A note, there's the A there. And remember the notes in the A starting from the A note were A, skip over the B and go to the C, so that's A, C, and I'll tap this note on here. The next note was the E, so that's A, C and E. You can see that step pattern has been reversed. Between these two notes over here, there is only a 3 fret interval, and between these two notes, this one and this one, there is a 4 fret interval. So that has been reversed from what we had earlier. In the G chord we had 4 plus 3, now we have 3 plus 4. Do you see that? That is the defining characteristic of a minor chord. And if you go through the scale from each note, starting on the first note, the G, G, B, D, taking the first, third and fifth notes up from the G note, then the first, third and fifth notes up from an A note are A, C and E. Then from a B note we get B, D, F sharp. From a C note we get C, E, G. From an E note, from a D note we get D, F sharp and A. I'm just continuing this past the octave marker where everything starts again. D, F sharp and A, then E, G and B, starting from the E note. Then here's the fun one. Starting on the F sharp we have F sharp, A and C. Excuse my phone just going off there. So there you have it. That's what's going on when you harmonise, as we say, a major scale. Again, refer to the PDF and you will see that basically what we have is a G major chord, because the notes that you get starting from a G note are G, B and D, which have that 4 plus 3 relationship. Then going from an A note we have the 3 plus 4, which is a minor chord. Starting on the B note, going up first, third and fifth notes from a B note, we get 3 plus 4 again, so that's a B minor chord, and so on. Just again refer to the PDF and you'll see all this written out more graphically than I can explain it here. But basically the chords that we have in the key of G are G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor and F sharp diminished, and then back to a G again. And that's what happens when you take the first, third and fifth notes of each in each chord. If you think about it, what's the next note in that sequence? What's the next number? 1, 3, 5, well obviously 7. So if we were to do that, if we were to start on a G note and go to the first note, third note, fifth note, seventh note, we get that, okay, which is, if you were to give that chord a name, it's a G major 7th. That's how it will be played. But we don't have to do that, because all you really need to know about is that if we forget about this G note, here it is again, here's the sequence notes, G, B, D and F sharp, which are the first, third, fifth and seventh notes of the scale. If you ignore that G note at the beginning and just play the B, D and F sharp, we have a B minor chord. So anytime you want to play a G major seventh, all you have to do is let the bass player worry about the G note underneath it and play a B minor on top, which you don't have to use a bar chord like that, just use this little shape here. There's the root note there on the third string, that's a B minor chord there. And we can develop a rule from that. Okay, if I want a G major seventh, all I have to do is play a B minor chord. Look at that relationship there. G major seventh is the chord that we want, so I play a B minor. And that is just a general rule for how to get a major seventh chord. Just go 1, 2, 3, 4 frets up and play a minor. And there's a whole bunch of rules like that and little cheats that you can use to create a really jazzy sound. You don't have to play all these kind of big, stretchy, difficult chords. It's just these 6 shapes. Okay. If I want to play a minor seventh chord, for example, another little cheat that I can use is if I want A minor seventh, all I have to do is play a C chord. But play that under an A, over an A bass, and we get an A minor 7 sound. If I want to get a D7 sound, all I have to do is play an F sharp diminished. If I want let's think of another one. If I want a C major seventh, all I have to do is, there's the C note there, go 4 frets up, number 1, 2, 3, 4, that takes me to an E, so I just play an E minor shape like that. Again, if I'm racing through this a little bit too fast for you to keep up, don't worry, it's there in the PDF. Just take a look at it and have a go at playing the chord sequence that is outlined there. I think it goes, let me think, I think it goes A minor 7 to some sort of D7 to a G minor 7 to a C7 to an F major 7 to a B flat major 7 to a B minor 7 flat 5 to an E7. Now if I just rattled off those chords at you and said, play this chord sequence, play A minor 7 to D7, G minor 7 to C7, F major 7 to B flat major 7, B minor 7 flat 5 to E7, what? How do you play that? It sounds really complex. But the chord shapes I use to play that, I play this for the A minor 7, I play this for the D7, I play this for the G minor 7, I play this for the C7, I play this for the F major 7, I play this for the B flat major 7, I stay on the same chord for the B minor 7 flat 5, and I play this for the E7. Which brings me to the final thing. When you've got a 7th chord, one way that you can get a really cool little trick out of that and create something that jazz aficionados would refer to as an altered dominant chord is just move that shape, whatever diminished shape you're using, because diminished shapes are the ones we use to get 7th chords. Just move it 6 frets. I'll give you an example. Here's an E note representing the E bass line that's going to be going on underneath. And if I play this G sharp diminished on top of that, we will get an E7 sound. Now listen what happens if I move this shape here 6 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There it is there. Here's an E altered dominant chord. And again, that sounds really cool. That that resolves nicely to the A minor. I could do it going 6 frets up as well, that would work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again that works, and that just adds that little bit more grit and tension. There's a G sharp diminished there, and I can move that again. Let's go this way, 6 frets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There it is there. So that's and just little tricks like that really do spice things up a little bit. And you know, how many difficult chord shapes have I used? None. Again, it's that, 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 and that. 6 chord shapes. All of the jazz stuff that I've posted has used nothing but those chord shapes, because that is all you need to know. Right, here's a little demonstration of all that in action. The chord sequence is written out on the PDF, and yeah, I'll post a backing track as well. I'll put the link to that underneath the video as well. So just, you know, experiment with it, have fun with it, and hopefully you've gained a bit of an understanding. It may take a couple of times to go through it. You really do have to learn to think in a different way. Essentially, you've got to get out of this idea of I have to play the whole chord because the whole chord needs to be there. Most of the time when you're playing this style of music, there's going to be a bass player or a keyboard player whose left hand will provide the root notes, and all you have to do is provide the rest of the chord to sit on top, and you do that by doing these substitutions. Here are the basic rules once again before I sign off. To get a major 7th chord, go 4 frets above and play a minor. To get a minor 7th chord, go 3 frets above and play a major. To get, let's have a look at what I've written down. Excuse me a second while I just bring up the document and I'll run through these. Bear with me a second or two while this computer gathers a bit of steam. Yeah, here we go. For any major 7th chord, play the minor chord found 4 frets above. So if we want a G major 7 play, there's your G root note that the bass player will be playing, play a B minor. Okay. For any minor 7th chord, play a major chord found 3 frets above. For any 7th chord, play the diminished found 4 frets above, and remember those 7th chords can move in 6 fret jumps, and just to add a bit of tension. And for any minor 7 flat 5 chord, play the minor found 3 frets above. And you can see all you need are major and minor chord shapes, and you can move them around, and that will cover the vast majority of jazz chords that you will ever need. As I said, here's a little demonstration of me doing exactly that, and the chord sequence is written out on the PDF, and there's a backing track as well. Have fun, and I hope this has helped. Thanks very much, and I'll see you later.